all started when I met him. This is my 12th case of my relatively new career. I help rehabilitate people who are incarcerated for violent crimes. Out of all my cases I've had so far, none of them have compared to this one. Case number 12. I first got this case dropped on my desk by my superior without so much as an explanation why. He must have woke up late and not had time for his morning espresso. Opening the file, I found myself looking down at another number, another criminal, more crimes and terrible acts, and the worst part, the list of victims. This case had 12, ironically. Just so you're aware of what this is, I record all of my cases on my personal diary. Some people use a tape recorder, but I prefer to type. The day would come that I'd have to meet this man in prison, so that morning I packed all my files and a little lunch and headed out to my car. After loading up, I drove to the nearest gas station and filled up. After all, this was a 2.5 hour car journey to the prison he was kept at. When I arrived, I went through the usual checks that they carry out at pretty much all prisons to ensure that I'm not here to give anything to the prisoners or I'm not a breach of security in any way, as if I would give anything to them. I despise most of them, and especially the child molesters and child murderers. This man was guilty of both, and other crimes just as foul. I often think, what I do for a living, is it justified? These are some of the worst human beings to live, in my opinion, and here I am trying to help them. I often have sleepless nights, wondering if what I'm doing for a living is justified. These are some of the worst human beings to ever live, and here I am trying to help them. What does that say about me? That 1 hour lasted a lifetime. He just sat there behind the glass, looking me up and down and licking his lips. I knew exactly what he was thinking. He only said a few things during this whole interview. They were all questions. How old are you? Where do you live? What's your name? And what is your favourite food? I've heard all sorts of strange things doing this job, so it didn't shake me up too much at the time. The last thing he said before I left did though. As I walked away, he knocked on the glass to get my attention and said, "I'll see you soon, Doc." He grinned as he said it while tapping the glass with his dirty, overgrown fingernail. I found myself looking over my shoulder every day I left my house from that day forward, or waiting in line at the store. I'd be very cautious about the people around me. The day that everything changed again was a Tuesday morning to be exact, when I found out through a phone call from a colleague that the man from case 12 was going to be released from custody that very next day. My heart stopped, and I just knew that he would be coming for me. About 2 weeks after his release, I got a phone call at around 2 a.m. that was just light laughing, almost inaudible, but I could just about hear it. And then a second, third, and fourth phone call followed over the next 3 weeks. And then finally, I got a package one day on my doorstep. It was a cardboard box. I opened it to see a severed cat's head with a note, "I'll see you soon, Doc." I went straight to the police, and they put out an APB on this guy, and have assured me that they'll find him. I refused to stay away from my house, just because of this crazy guy. Anyway, I have a gun that I sleep with next to my bed in case of any intruders, and let's just say, I slept with it tight to my chest. 4 days after the police put an APB on this guy is when it happened. I'm writing this with paper and pen inside my living room closet. I was woken by a sound outside when I was sleeping on the couch, and I know it's him. I've called the police and they said it'll be around 7 minutes before they get here due to my house's remote location. I know that's nowhere near enough time. He would be long gone before then, and so would I. Hello, Doc. I lived alone in a very big house that my grandfather built with his bare hands. I loved this house. People told me it was haunted, but I never believed in that crap. I always told them that I'm the scariest thing in this house, and I've seen far more death than any ghost.